Hello, welcome to Chronic Illness. Today I want to share with you a mental strategy that can help you accept the reality of your chronic illness without falling into despair. It's a way of framing your limitations that is both optimistic and realistic. I'll leave a timestamp here for those who want to skip straight to the technique, but if you do have the time to watch this video for a little longer, I explain the psychology of acceptance versus rejection, why it's so important to accept your limitations, and what the consequences are if you do or don't. This video is tailored to those with ME/CFS, that's myalgic encephalomyelitis or chronic fatigue syndrome. However, the general principles apply to most chronic illnesses, so just adapt them to your situation. I warn you, some of the things that I say may be discouraging or painful to hear at first, but please don't despair, keep watching because it gets more hopeful as I go on. So, you've got a debilitating, soul-destroying, and incurable illness like ME/CFS. You're facing the likely possibility that you'll be disabled for the rest of your life. Being housebound, being bedbound, this is just your life now. You can't do the things you used to do. Your dreams are stolen from you. Dreams of a career, a family, an education, travel, social activities, fitness, hobbies, business and creative pursuits. All these things are now not possible for you, or perhaps only possible to a much more limited extent than you'd like. And there is no cure and no end in sight. Every morning you wake up feeling like you've been hit by a truck. Every day and every night you suffer and you suffer and you suffer. It's a bitter pill to swallow and there's a lot of grief that needs to be processed. You have to mourn the loss of these things. When faced with this horrible scenario, there are two attitudes that people often take. Both are at odds with each other and both are harmful and will jeopardize any potential recovery. The first is that you fully accept your prognosis and, understandably, you fall into despair. You accept your situation, but it's so painful that you're just miserable. Your mental health deteriorates. You can't see any hope. This is an awful way to be. The other attitude is one of denial and toxic positivity. The reality of your situation is too hard to face, so you throw yourself into trying to get better. You might start some sort of exercise regime when your body really isn't up to it. You might try to diet and lose weight, especially if doctors have told you that this is your problem. You might try to do all those things that healthy people do to feel better, like trying to wake up early every morning, keeping a gratitude journal, trying supplement after supplement to try to find that magic cure. You might speak positive affirmations about your health in the hope that if you believe them strongly enough, they will come true for you. You try to keep up with your healthy friends and family and pretend that you're okay. You might abuse stimulants to do this. The rare times you have energy, you use it up immediately. You're like, whoa, I feel good. I'm going to do the laundry and walk the dog and file my taxes and work on my art project. Then, of course, you crash, only to repeat the cycle over and over. You also might find that you switch back and forth between the two mindsets. You might have periods of despair where you just give up, followed by periods of hope where you try to do all the things. I have certainly done this, though I'd say I was mostly stuck in the second mode, the denial and toxic positivity, especially in the early years of my illness. This second mode is especially likely when you've been gaslit by friends, family, and medical professionals, telling you things like, it's all in your head. You just have to think positive. You'll feel fine when you lose some weight. You're not that sick. You're just lazy. You need to try harder. You just have to push through it. My friend has that illness and she can still work. Have you tried yoga? Clearly, both these approaches are harmful and must be avoided. Giving up out of despair will take a big toll on your mental health and fuel depression in particular. It can also lead to physical deterioration because you just stop trying. You may not get all the medical treatment and services you need, and you may miss opportunities for things that could help you because you don't believe they will make a difference. On the other hand, refusal to accept your situation means you won't rest when you need to. You'll push yourself too hard and get into that crash cycle. For those that don't know, if you have ME/CFS, doing this over the long term will do more damage to your body and only entrench the illness further. You just dig yourself deeper into that hole. When you fixate on recovery or try to keep up your old activity levels, you're putting pressure on yourself to achieve something that may literally be impossible, leading to a whole lot of wasted time, energy, and money, And the disappointment you feel when you inevitably fail is devastating and will exacerbate any mental illness. You're also gaslighting yourself, which is psychologically destructive, and you fuel the illusion that you're well. So friends, family, and doctors underestimate how sick you really are. It can also keep you stuck emotionally. Proper grieving requires acknowledgement of the loss. Denial of your situation will prevent you from processing those negative emotions and moving on. So how do we find a healthy middle ground between despair and denial? Don't worry, my friends, because there is a third option. First, we need to look at the science, because a healthy acceptance mindset must be grounded in reality. There are numerous studies that look at recovery rates for ME/CFS. I was hoping to read a bunch of them and give you guys some definitive stats on patient outcomes. Unfortunately, the numbers are unclear due to major inconsistencies and limitations in the research. For instance, many of the studies use different and sometimes inaccurate diagnostic criteria and contain patients who were misdiagnosed with ME/CFS. The sample sizes aren't particularly large. The duration of the studies is often not long enough. The standards by which they measure recovery are usually subjective and therefore unreliable. And they vary between studies, so you can't have a consistent comparison. Still, I do have some stats for you. They come from some review articles on the subject, and while they're as accurate as I can get for now, bear in mind that there's a lot of uncertainty around these numbers. I'll leave a good source in the description if anyone wants more details. The most accurate statistic we have is the rate of full recovery. Now, I'm going to be brutally honest with you. The vast majority, 95% of people who get chronic fatigue syndrome never recover. Only 5% of sufferers get back to their pre-illness condition. If you're an adult and you've had ME/CFS for more than 2 years with no improvement in that time, your chance at full recovery is close to 0. If you're young or you haven't had it long, you may have a chance to regain your full health. Those who remain sick may be classed as mild, moderate, severe, or very severe. Some remain relatively stable and some deteriorate. About 25% of those with ME/CFS are considered severe or very severe. They are typically housebound, bedbound, and may be unable to perform even basic functions like toileting and eating. I'll leave some videos in the description that explain very severe ME. Doesn't sound great, does it? But here's the thing. 40% of people make a partial recovery. They improve substantially. They might not get back to 100% of their pre-illness functionality, but they may get back to 50%, 60, 70, even 80% of their original health. This is where the hope is. Not false hope, but realistic hope. This is a big deal. This sort of improvement in symptoms could mean you could go back to school or university part-time and finish your degree. It could mean that you could pick up some extra work, earn some extra money. You could pick some of your old hobbies back up. You could spend more quality time with friends and family. It could mean that you're well enough to travel and get to go on an amazing holiday. I know that it's possible because it's what happened to me, but only after I accepted my limitations. And now I'm going to teach you how you can do the same using this framing technique. All you have to do is state your situation accurately, then include a word or phrase that anchors it in the present moment. For example, I love martial arts. I used to learn karate and I loved it. I was really good at it too. But of course, the chronic fatigue syndrome put an end to that. After trying and trying to keep it up, I was forced to admit that I couldn't do it. I was angry and sad about this for a long time. But now, instead of saying, I can't do karate, I say to myself, I can't do karate right now. It's the right now that's important because it's what confines that statement to the present and makes no commitment to either recovery or permanence. That's the key. I'll give you some more examples of things you can say to yourself. I can't ride a bike at this time. I have to be on this medication for now. I'm unable to work right now. I have to eat gluten-free at the moment. My anxiety is severe at this time. I need to use a wheelchair for now. I can't do as many things as I used to do for the time being. I need to stay in bed and rest tonight. I can't have the slim figure that I want at this time. By framing your limitations this way, you're fully accepting the reality of your situation, but you're leaving open the possibility that you might be able to do these things in the future, without putting the expectation of recovery on yourself. So you're not saying, I'm definitely going to get better, nor are you saying, I'll never get better. The problem with leaving off a phrase that keeps it to the present is that your mind will naturally add something on to the end, which will put you in one of those two harmful mindsets. Watch what happens. If I say to myself, I can't do karate, my brain will likely interpret this as, I can't do karate anymore, which carries the assumption that I'll never be able to do karate ever again, which may not be true. Conversely, if I say, I can't do karate, my brain might tack on the words, but I will be able to in the future. But I might not be. I may never regain the ability to do karate. And if that's the case, I'm putting pressure on myself to achieve the impossible. On that note, I want to dispel a harmful myth that many of us have absorbed from society. It's the idea that in order to get better, you must believe that you will get better. That admitting the true severity of your condition is some sort of commitment to staying sick, and that it's incompatible with recovery. This stems partly from the capitalist idea that if you acknowledge your illness, you have a victim mentality, and if you just tried hard enough, you could pull yourself up by your bootstraps and get better. It's a form of toxic positivity that is also common in some New Age and religious teachings. This idea that you can manifest either health or sickness purely based on your thoughts and words, your attitude. This belief makes you worry that if you honestly state your medical condition, you're speaking sickness over yourself. You're giving up and giving in to the illness. This is not true. Your attitude can really impact your life, for sure. I'm not saying that attitude isn't important or that it doesn't have any effect, but it can't eliminate those hard physical barriers imposed by your illness. You don't need to believe that you'll get better in order to see improvement. You can admit that you have an incurable illness and still pursue treatments and things that will improve your life. People might say, oh, you're just being negative, you're a pessimist. But I actually think that my technique of framing your limitations in the present is a positive mindset. It means you can be optimistic without being delusional. You can think positive without gaslighting yourself. Positivity and optimism are good things when they're anchored in reality. But when they're based on a fantasy, they become this toxic positivity BS that's just a way to shame and blame the victim. Now that I've got that little rant out of my system, I want to share my story briefly because I think it will give you cause for hope. I've been sick my whole adult life. For 15 odd years, I was quite severely disabled. I'd say my ME fluctuated between moderate and severe. I was housebound most of the time and bedbound for a significant amount of the day, and I struggled to take even basic care of myself. Finally, after more than 15 years of this, I got the support I so desperately needed, and I was able at last to let myself rest. I accepted my illness and I was able to get the help and medical treatment I needed, and something I thought was impossible happened. I started to improve. It was very slow at first, but over the last 6 years, my condition has improved substantially. I thought that I had damaged my body permanently, and though I do expect I will have this condition for the rest of my life, I never thought I could achieve my current level of functionality. To be clear, I am still disabled. I feel like I have to clarify that because I'm terrified that Centrelink will see this and think that I'm all better and they'll cut off my disability pension. But no, I'm still unable to work. I am still fatigued and in pain on a daily basis. I just spent 3 weeks in hospital, for goodness sake. But compared to how I used to be, my quality of life is better now than at any time in my adult life. I won't go into any more detail for the sake of time. The point is, I believe that improvement is possible for many of you watching this video. Previously, I stated that the percentage of ME sufferers who improve or partially recover is 40%. But it is my personal opinion that the actual proportion of people who have the potential for improvement is much higher. I think the majority of people with ME are being undertreated or incorrectly treated. And if they're given enough support and access to the right treatment, they'll see a meaningful reduction in their symptom severity, or at the very least, a significant improvement in their quality of life. That's why I started this channel, to share the things that have helped me in the hope that you guys can improve like I have. So do check out my other videos for some practical strategies and consider subscribing because I have a lot more strategies to share in future videos. Just to be clear, I am not saying that everyone with ME/CFS can recover, even partially. There's no guarantee that that will happen for you, unfortunately. You can do everything right and still not get the results you want. But what is for sure is that some degree of recovery will never be possible for you if you keep exceeding your energy budget and crashing all the time. You must fully accept your current limitations and allow your body the rest it needs, while also actively pursuing things that could lead to improvement where possible. And this framing technique will help you do that. Developing a healthy acceptance mindset is hard, mentally and emotionally, and it's an ongoing process. But once you get out of that cycle of false hope and despair, you'll have much more peace of mind, and you'll be able to listen to your body more clearly and practice proper pacing, which will help you get more control over your symptoms and get more out of life. My last piece of advice is that you don't concern yourself with trying to predict whether or not you'll be someone who recovers. Don't try to calculate where you fall in the statistics. That doesn't matter, it isn't helpful, and it's impossible to know. You don't need to know what will happen in the future to make progress now, and fixating on that question will only keep you stuck. The important thing, the hopeful thing, is that improvement in your quality of life is within the realm of possibilities. And hey, even if you've done all you can to manage your condition and there doesn't seem to be room for improvement right now, keep in mind that one day we could find a cure, or at the very least, new treatments for the disease. ME/CFS is finally getting more attention and funding, especially due to all the cases of long COVID that have arisen in the last few years. Medical science is gradually understanding the condition more and more, and it's reasonable to expect new treatment options to arise. In the meantime, framing our situation in the present moment can help keep us sane. Before I sign off, I want to invite you to try this exercise right now. Grab a piece of paper or write in the comment section of this video some limitation that you're trying to come to terms with. What's something about your situation that you need to admit and accept? Write it down now and add a phrase confining it to the present. And tell me in the comments, if you're comfortable, which of the two harmful modes of thinking do you tend to fall into? Or do you switch between the two? For those who have listened until the end, thank you. I know this video is a long one with a lot of talking, but it really is an important message, and it's something that I believe could help a lot of people. Please like and share this video if you found it helpful, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Go away, helicopter. I'm trying to talk to the people about acceptance. Oh, so many helicopters. Another helicopter, really? Oh, so hot. Then include a word or phrase that anchors it in the present moment. Oh, something in my eye. But I will be able... A harmful myth that many of us have absorbed from society. Birdies! Not now. Birdie. It worked.